I am absolutely delighted to be joined by Chris Minn from Digital Inc. Good morning, Chris. How are you doing?
Hey, Jack. Yeah, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Not a problem. I really wanted to have a chat with you about FESPA Middle East. I mean, obviously, FESPA now is a huge global brand, exhibitions all around the world. But the most recent one was just a week or so ago in the Middle East. I just wanted, maybe we start with what's your involvement with the exhibition and with FESPA and what you've done for the show.
Yeah, so FESPA Middle East is in its third year. Obviously, it's fairly new and it's sort of growing every year and really sort of adding value to the region. I moved out here 2 years ago. I'm not far from Dubai and in Muscat. And it was fairly easy for me to communicate with the guys at FESPA HQ, having been an exhibitor and one of their customers in the past. And then off the back of that, Digital Inc. became a FESPA partner, as in we're a member of the community. And we then, as an agency, supported them on their marketing delivery within the Flex events and the Middle East show last year and this year.
Okay, so I'm guessing because you're on the ground, you speak, you have a team that speak the language. It's a great connection with FESPA, who are based over here, to be able to run something like this.
Yeah. I mean, my Arabic's terrible, so let's not go there. But I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. I have two Arabic speakers within the team here locally, both in UAE and Oman. So we're able to offer a little bit of support there from a translation point of view. And I think that's something that's been very pivotal for a UK-based company coming to a new territory. But the biggest thing I think really is being close to the business owners and being able to get a feel for what's going on and what they like, what they don't like, those idiosyncrasies. How they like to be contacted. I mean, as a region, it's different in terms of communication channels. So, we've played a bit of a consultative role as well, but generally trying to keep, like you said earlier, the global brand consistent and growing.
Yeah, good stuff. So, how was the show? How did it go?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, there was a huge uptake on the conference and the focus on education this year. FESPA spent a lot of time working on that area. Last year was fantastic, and I really thought it would take a lot to reach that bar that was set with the first AI lab and everything else. Sustainability, of course, was a huge piece last year. But again, this year they brought more conversation in AI, moved on again, more sort of about bringing in automation and how to use the right kind of systems. There was permanently a booth set up for people to have conversations with AI consultants. So you weren't just coming to say one session last year. There was a booth for the whole show where anyone could drop in like a clinic. That was fantastic. We had some really interesting speakers this year. We had a couple flew over from the UK. John Bailey from Precision Proco was one of them. And it was all about sort of Saudi Arabia as well. Saudi's a very interesting topic. It's a real growth area right now with their 2030 plan. So it was interesting to see some of the UK owners come over and talk about how they've created a global network with their sort of print on demand and manufacturing channels. So yeah, really good, really busy, but different to last year.
Okay, do you feel like it's developing in the right direction year on year? And what's kind of your involvement, because you're part of the marketing team now, aren't you? So what's your involvement in that as well?
I think the interesting one for me last year was the feedback from the business owners as they wanted a community. They kind of looked at the global shows, and you could say the FESPA chapters in the UK and Europe and Australia and everywhere else, and kind of a little bit with jealousy, really wanting something along those lines. And like D-Scoop was another one that has been mentioned. So it was apparent from February 25 that community was going to be something that the GCC and the Gulf region wanted. And that definitely felt like that had grown this year. The Club FESPA area was very busy with people from all sorts of countries within the region coming together like old friends. So there was definitely a community starting to knit. There was some flex events in the build-up, which were like little mini conferences spread across the region, and they've helped to sort of grow that kind of community feel. So that definitely felt like that's building. It's very tricky though with any new event, because you need consistency and longevity to really build that rhythm. And I think the key thing really was just keeping it going, keeping the doors opening, keeping the communication channels going. But I'd say community was there this year. There was a lot more coming together, people that knew each other. There were a lot of sort of cross nationalities really conjoining, and that's always nice to see in a world where global politics is so stressful at the moment.
Well, quite. I mean, it's one of the highlights, really. Certainly, FESPA in Europe, it's kind of much more established. The club zone is full and really vibrant. I guess that's something that's really important to develop going forward with this show, because that's what's going to make it grow, and that's what's going to give it the value to people joining from other sectors, other markets, and other organisations. So you can see that's something that has grown year on year, and looks like it's going to continue to improve.
Yeah, I think the demographic and the the audience is different. I think there's investment in hardware all the time, which is great. But I think the other thing is the region are excited about the technical software side, the AI, the automation, because there's no doubt about it, they're behind out here, and they'll be the first to admit that, which is why they enjoy a lot of the people and the speakers that FESPA bring in to discuss workflow automation, streamlining workflows, efficiencies, etc. But they move quickly, and so I think the demographic is slightly different. I think the model of the main FESPA event with all the print verticals under one roof is where it will go, because ultimately, whether you're a wide format printer or in apparel, you're booming if you're out here right now because of all what's going on in the region, whether it's tourism, whether it's property, whether it's sporting events, real estate. It's just it's like a building site constantly, and with that comes all the marketing, the sales, and everything else. So there's a nice ecosystem there right now. The other thing as well they do slightly differently is they bring a lot of digital signage to the print event, which is something I've not seen at a Printer United or like a Drupa as much. But there's a lot of digital signage as part of the kind of omni-channel marketing approach out here. So that's interesting. And I wonder how much of that's due to the Chinese influence out here. So there's some slight differences between the events, but I do see that the passion for collaboration and the passion to invest is there. The energy is there, and sustainability was something that came up again this year. And there's a lot of sort of discussion around how we can become more sustainable. And I think they're looking at Europe for how the European businesses do that and do that well, it has to be said. And then if we look to the other side, we have the Australians and Southeast Asia who are also doing a good job there. You feel like you're in a different show, Jack, definitely. But I think the FESPA model will work in time, because it does cover everything for everyone.
Yeah, okay. And I was going to ask about the sort of general feedback from visitors, because culturally it's going to be slightly different, I guess, from what we're used to in other days. So how you're obviously on the show floor a fair bit talking to people. What was the feedback from visitors?
Yeah, it's a bit early. We haven't got all the feedback in yet, so to speak. And should we work on the project next year, then we'd look forward to dissecting that with the team and supporting them. But I think that the conference and the content with the education we picked up on positive feedback on that on day one, funny enough, very early on. And we saw people attend that weren't there in the previous year, which is always a sign of success when you see new businesses now attending. But potentially we could have had more suppliers and more OEMs there. But I think that also comes with longevity and confidence in the event, and that's not going to happen overnight. So I think it's a process. So I think really, without actually dissecting this year's feedback, we know what last year's feedback was, and that was to build a community, and I think that was achieved. Bringing the confidence into the education and the conference side, that was there because the numbers were up there. But in terms of knowing what's next, it's a tricky one this early on. But I say from my point of view, I'd like to be able to push more attendance.
Yeah, and I guess you're saying with the hardware suppliers particularly, that's an additional investment for them, isn't it, to get that equipment in and up? So you can kind of see that's once you've got the show more established, they will in turn come.
Unlike you and I, when we go to an event, we see a lot of hardware on the show floor, and I think it's something that the OEMs in our neck of the woods, or my old neck of the woods, had the trade shows on their schedule every January. I think the difference out here is it's a new concept now, that it's a different kind of selling. So I think that, you know, they will get ROI out of this show. There's no doubt about it. They just we just need to sort of share the value and keep the communication up, because we're kind of re-educating them on the value of a trade show. So I think that will change.
Hey, are there any sort of particularly some anecdotes from the show, anything that you particularly caught your eye, you particularly enjoyed, that you'd like to share?
Yeah, one of the things actually was in the AI session. We did a live podcast on the end of the last day, and Mark Boyd was there from Keypoint Intelligence, and he took it off, took it down another channel, and we got onto robotics and how robotics are going to be a major part of this technical revolution we're in. And I think that was really interesting to see the importance of robotics, probably than AI. If you've got an expensive kit running and you need to work more functionally and keep costs down, robotics are going to be very important. And it was interesting to hear how many print business owners have invested in robotics already and have shipments of robots arriving. So that was interesting, and I think I don't think it will be long until we see it on the trade show floor.
Wow. I mean, you mentioned AI, you mentioned robotics. I mean, do the two get together at some point and create some proper science fiction for us, I guess?
I mean, I think so. I think the two come together anyway. I think you need both within your manufacturing workflow and your setup. How that looks and how the robots behave, I'm going to leave that to another session. But we're all thinking it, right? We're all thinking Terminator 2, aren't we? So
absolutely. Well, look, it sounds like it went really well. It's good. There's good feedback, some good turnouts at the shows and what have at the conferences and discussions. What's up for you next? A busy year ahead, I guess.
So I'm got a couple of weeks. Get on with some work at the desk, and then I'm off to the Rockies for D-Scoop Edge, where I'll be supporting the Sheep for Brains crew. We'll be delivering some live sessions there, and we'll have a booth at D-Scoop Rockies. Sheep for Brains, in case you're not aware, is our mental health and wellness not-for-profit program we set up alongside Dave Rosendahl, Mindfire, Jessica DeCola of GPA, and John Bailey of Precision Proco. So we'll be there delivering a few sessions. And I'll then look to go to the main FESPA Global event, where I'll be sharing some insights and doing a talk track on the same topics that I covered in Dubai, focusing on the growth of print on demand. And so it's good. I think it's going to be busy. I think, as you know, probably from what you do, Jack, we're going to roll from month to month, and before you know it, we'll be looking at Christmas again. So, and then next year it's your Drooper year, right? Or the year after?
Year after,
yeah. So it won't be long.
I can't wait. I'm getting too old to wish my years away. Good stuff. Well, it's interesting you mentioned Sheep for Brains. I know we're recording this Monday morning. This afternoon, all of the Sheep for Brains team, I think you've got a podcast with Colin and the Printerviews, and I believe that comes out today. Mm-hmm. There's something to look out for later. It should be out by the time this comes out. So do check out the Printerviews to find out more about Sheep for Brains. But look, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I'm glad it went well. I look forward to seeing you probably over at FESPA. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Jack. Keep up the good work.
Yes.